Hey guys, I got a chance to play a little bit in the final beta for Black Desert Online for Xbox One, and I thought there were some promising things to look forward to for the full game. I played some on the PC version, so I was curious to see what had been changed when imported to the console. There are some beautiful parts of the game and several class options to choose from, so I'm interested in seeing what the game will be, and here are some of my opinions so far. So this is kind of a small thing, but I think it deserves to be mentioned. Although this is the beta title screen of the game has a line that reads, quote, "Although this is the preview version, customer support will be provided for the game." This is huge to me. Now, I didn't have to use customer support, so I don't know how helpful it was, but it makes me think that the developers want to stay connected with the community and want to help this to be a good experience for people. And it helps to make a better game if you know what problems the players are experiencing. So after you choose a server, the next thing you do is create a character. The kind of characters you can create is dependent on the class you choose. There are 6 classes available: the Warrior, Ranger, Sorceress, Berserker, Wizard, and Witch. I think it's a good amount of different classes, and maybe more will be introduced later. I also think that the look of these characters is graphically impressive, at least for console. I didn't like the fact that the classes are sex specific, however. What about a female warrior, berserker, or even a male ranger? If these options were available, I couldn't find them. The creation controls also bothered me, specifically the camera controls. You could either zoom all the way into the face, or be pulled back so far that you can't see the detail of it. You also had to click on the right stick to use the camera, which would also lock the rest of the controls. The sliders was the same stick on the controller as well. The Xbox controllers aren't so limited that there aren't other buttons available. The D-pad would have been great for this kind of situation, and controlled the sliders while being able to move the camera with the right stick. Another frustration is that I chose a standby expression that was terrible. I didn't realize how bad it was until I started the game with that character, and I thought there was no way to change it. I did see a beauty option in the game menu, but when I tried to change it from there, it kept saying, quote, "This buff does not exist." Is this feature only available in the main game, or do you have to pay to change your character? This being an MMO, there are definitely a bunch of quests that you can obtain. This may have been my inexperience with the game, but I kind of had a hard time figuring out which quests I should be doing and what was actually part of the main story. If there is a story, I didn't find it particularly compelling, at least in the starter area. Maybe the game gets better after the first part and starts to make more sense in regards to who you are supposed to be in the world and what you're supposed to be doing. Since I didn't play for very long, I can't say whether it was good or bad. One of the things that you will notice immediately when talking to an NPC is that the lip sync, if there is supposed to be some, is terrible. To the game's defense, I believe this game was developed by a Korean developer, so maybe the dialogue and lip sync is perfect in that language, and the misstep is just the conversion to English. I also found that the NPCs were boring, and constantly having to read the text to get any understanding of what the RPG element was kind of pulled me out of the game. This is where I had to remember this game is an MMO, and many of them have text as a main form of dialogue. One of the things that I did like about the interaction with the NPCs is that if you have specific information, you can have special conversations with these characters. I don't know or remember what the information was, but it is nice to have a little addition to the conversation where you feel like you may be making progress with a relationship with certain characters. If the Xbox version is anything like the PC version, if I remember correctly, this is a really big game. I remember spending a lot of time in transit. Fortunately, Black Desert Online has an auto-run feature. It can be a little clunky sometimes, but I think it's great that it's in the game and I can use it whenever I want to get up and do something else when I'm making my way to an objective. Eventually, you can also buy mounts and even wagons to make your travel even faster to your destination. I think the combat in this game is one of the best of its features. In my opinion, the combat feels great. You feel powerful and deadly, destroying waves of enemies without even breaking a sweat. I'm sure this will change in a later game when enemies become hardier and don't just stand there in place waiting for you to kill them. But you can use skill points to get more abilities that will help you when fighting tougher enemies. I didn't work enough with this version of the skill tree, but both the Xbox and PC versions were a little confusing to me. I'm sure they'll make sense later in the game, but there may be a bit of a learning curve if you're just starting out. So anyway, that was my impression about Black Desert Online's final beta for Xbox One. There are 3 versions of the game that are being sold: Standard Edition for $30, a Deluxe Edition for $50, and the Ultimate Edition for $100. I don't know if I'd pay $100 for a game, but the $30 does seem reasonable. I don't know whether or not this game will require a subscription to anything besides Xbox Live, but hopefully not. There are probably a few things to iron out in the game, but all in all, it looks very promising. It'd be nice to have another MMO making its way to console, since the only other ones that come to mind are Elder Scrolls Online and DC Universe Online. If there are other MMOs on console that you guys think deserve to be recognized, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video or thought it was helpful, please like and subscribe. Thanks guys, bye.